Alright, so greetings again, everyone. This is another, I guess, a little more advice, a little more progress in regards to Pokemon Go. This is specifically about eggs hatching and the recent debate that a lot of people have gotten into about evolving versus powering up, and whether or not you should do which one first, and how that relates to things. So we'll get into that at the end. But for now, covering eggs. Let's talk about the basics. One of the most basic things is when you go to a Pokestop, there's a chance that you'll collect an egg from that Pokestop. And these eggs can vary in, basically how long it takes to hatch them. It's pretty much been confirmed that rare Pokemon like Snorlax happen with like a 10-kilometer egg, and that decent ones are 5 kilometers, and 2-kilometer ones can be something like a Magikarp or a Rattata. There hasn't exactly been plotted out which ones happen in at which eggs and whatnot, but it's safe to say that the rare ones require more effort, as could be expected. So once you get your egg, what do? Well, first you want to click on it, and you'll see that there will be a button in the center that says Start Incubation. With your base incubator, which thank goodness has unlimited charges, they look like this. You can pull them up. You'll be able to hatch one egg at a time, no matter if you're free to play or if you buy an incubator. Which, by the way, if you buy the incubators, they're only temporary. They have 3 uses. The incubator that I have here, as shown, is actually one that I got from, I think, reaching level 6. So there are some freebies you get just by leveling up. And of course, leveling up, you get that by getting various sorts of experience. And speaking of experience, eggs are actually a really good way to get that. So next step, after you've selected your incubator, it'll go in there, and that, only then, is when your eggs actually count towards hatching, because I think everyone who's played a Pokemon game that has eggs before this, you'll know that as long as you have the egg in your inventory, you'll get progress toward hatching it. Not true in this case. In this case, you need to have it in an incubator. And once you have progressed far enough to hatch it, by the way, in this regard, you can either do walking to hatch it, or if you're going slow enough, like let's say not down a steep hill, you can use your bike. And that, if you're specifically looking to hatch, is probably the most efficient method, is to bike around. I think there's actually been proof that has shown that someone has actually done what a lot of people do in Pokemon games, which is they ride their bike back and forth to hatch an egg, and that has literally started happening in the real world. So we come to real life. Anyways, so when you have completed hatching it, it could come out something like this. This is my first hatch. It was a Tentacool that came out of a 5-kilometer egg. With it, this is the only Tentacool I ever got so far. With it, I got 14 candy, over 1,000 Stardust, and tons of experience. I think you get, it's either 500, 600, or maybe even 1,000 experience for hatching eggs. And actually, the amount of experience you get may actually depend on how long it takes to hatch it, how many kilometers. But anyways, I would advise keeping an egg up at all times, simply because once it does eventually hatch, you'll get huge benefits out of it, and you might even get a Pokemon that you didn't have before. So that pretty much covers egg hatching. Do it, it's good. It gives you tons of Stardust for your later power-ups, as well as plenty of candy for later on. And getting a Magikarp from a 2 kilometer egg is not a bad thing if you tend to get a Gyarados, because you'll get a lot of Magikarp candy. Anyways, so on to the final topic. We have the debate that has recently surfaced about whether or not you should evolve or power up first, and if that affects their eventual maximum CP. And the answer so far seems to be that it has no effect. If there's been some testing with Pokemon that have the same CP level at the same curve on the wheel in terms of their experience level, and people have powered them up, then evolved them, or powered them up, or evolved them, then powered them up, and there was basically no difference. And if there was any difference, it was probably because of the artifact of power-ups being basically, it gives you a percentage of your current CP on top of that. So yeah. So basically, in terms of the eventual power of the Pokemon, it makes no difference if you evolve it first or if you power it up first. But thanks to the mechanics of various other things in the game, I will tell you that it's actually better to, if you have the candy, to evolve first, because evolving gives you experience, and experience makes the other Pokemon that you can catch around you better. And one of the difficult things about this versus other Pokemon games is that not every Pokemon has the same potential. Well, there's certain variation in various Pokemon games called for IVs, innate values. But in this game, if you catch a 25 CP Weedle and then you catch a 35 CP Weedle later on, that 35 CP Weedle will actually have higher potential later on. It's kind of an artifact of how things go. But basically, because you level up, and because as you level up, you're going to get access to innately more powerful Pokemon, it does not make sense to power up your current Pokemon simply because they'll be outclassed later on by more powerful ones that you can find in the wild. So, with that in mind, the goal should be to actually evolve them as soon as you can, simply because you're probably going to get something that's more powerful of the same species later on, if it's common enough. And by evolving them, you get plenty of experience. You might unlock, a new Pokemon you haven't caught before, which is also, again, more experience. So it generally just behooves you to evolve as soon as you have the candy in most cases, especially for these early levels, even level 5 and before, and even level 7. I recently went from level 6 to 7, and I did that by evolving 2 Pokemon, which gives 1,000 experience each time, even if they're not a new Pokemon. So I highly advise evolve first, and then if they're particularly good, if you want to put them at a gym for the time, then power them up. Anyways, that covers the topics that I have to talk about here. I hope you guys appreciated the info, and hopefully I'll keep updating you guys on Pokemon Go. Thanks for watching.